Okay, we have the handshake from Twitch. We have the handshake from YouTube. We have the handshake from Facebook. Are you ready to go on the air?
Sure.
Okay, set the timer on wherever you have your timer.
Oh. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. 1 minute. Should I set it for the 55 again or a little bit later?
55 is perfect.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so clap your hands next to your microphone. And when you clap your hands, you'll go on the air.
Okay. Peace and greetings. You are now listening to Talking Peace on WBNY 91.3 FM and on Think Twice Radio with our producer, Richard Wicca. Thank you so much for producing our show. And so tonight and today we are going to talk about voting. And as we know, voting day is coming up. You can do early voting right now. And so we're going to talk about the power of the vote with our guest, Dayatra Hassan, community activist, poet, and Juneteenth board member, among other things. And before we get started, we usually have a Thanksgiving. So at this time, we just want to give thanks for the earth, for the trees, for the plants, for the animals. We want to give thanks for those who are sharing in love and connecting and walking in justice and showing love in person and in action. We like to give thanks for the sea creatures and the oceans, and we like to give thanks for the seed and for the planting of the seed and for the growth of the seed. We would like to give thanks for the air in which we breathe, for the sun and the moon and the stars and the planets. We would like to give thanks for all things that enable us to be alive this day. And so, in the tradition of our indigenous brothers and sisters, at the end of our giving of thanks, we say Yahweh, and our audience and so on would say Nyo. And would you say Nyo?
No.
Yeah.
No.
And in our African traditions, we say Ashe.
Ashe.
Thank you. So I wanted to, so tonight I wanted to talk to you, Dayatra, about the importance of voting and what our communities in Buffalo need to be doing and how we can do it better. And why it is important, especially for the African American community, to vote. So, first question: what do you bring? What values do you want to bring into this conversation tonight?
The values that I like to bring into the conversation tonight. First of all, peace and love, sister. I love my sister. But Naya, thank you for having me on the show. I'm honored and privileged to be here. One of the values that I bring into the space is equity. I value equity very much. I value justice, love, harmony. Yeah, I'll stop there. Those are some of the values I want to bring.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think into this space, I think I just want to bring just a pause. You know, because I think that, we're all just running and running and running. And, we just we're so, we're on this reactionary time, and spirit of space is just reactionary, and I think that to bring the value of to be still sometimes, and to think, and to consider, and to research, because I believe that what we're going to talk about is really important, but a lot of times we don't have enough information to make good decisions. And so I want to say the value of the pause.
I like that, the value of the pause. Reflection. Let's go a little.
Yeah, let's think about
there. And yeah, I think that's something that our people, specifically the Black community, really needs, because there's a lot we don't know. I think there's a lot that the average person doesn't know. My main concern is my community. And so with that in mind, thinking about how important it is to vote, I know that many of us feel the sting of disenfranchisement, marginalization. We feel that. And I know that a lot of folks, including myself at a time, feel like voting doesn't matter. What good has it even really done if we've been in this sort of state of dis-ease for so many years. And that's not to say that Black people are never happy or joyous or, anything like that. But when you look at the state that we are in economically, health-wise, education-wise, as a group, we're not faring very well. And historically so, right? And we can feel the intentionality around that. We know how hard we have to work just to keep our breath above water, just to swim, so to speak. So I know that we have that kind of sense, and I know I've had it too, at different points in time. But I think now is a really interesting time, and I've learned a lot just being in the community, especially since the pandemic. When things became just really bright, the politics became really vivid.
Okay.
I think at that time, our disparities really show hard,
Yes.
Yes. At that time.
Yeah, it'll bring a lot of things to the surface, right? Like when you have, ache or pain, just that extra movement, that extra, that tip of the iceberg, make everything kind of come to the surface. And is that when you changed your mind that maybe my vote just might matter?
Well, I wouldn't say exactly that was the time that I thought my vote might matter, but I knew that it mattered, but it just really hit like how much.
Okay.
And especially our unity vote, anything that we do in unity, we're stronger and more powerful. And so sometimes when you're a part of a group, it's easy to feel like, I don't got to say nothing. I don't got, the rest of the group is doing it. You know what I mean? Right. But if we don't, if individuals don't take onus, there's not going to be no rest of the group.
That's true. And, I have this conversation with my husband all the time that, what you just said is very, very important, that it is the group's vote, it's the community's vote that that will shift, the election, an election. When you vote as a team, when you vote as a community, this is what we want. So I think it's important that we start to look at the values. We were talking about values earlier. What is valuable to our community as a whole, and to know, okay, well, what candidates really support X, Y, and Z. And it's okay that, everybody's voice can be heard. You might have a couple of forums or whatever, but, it may be published in, the local newspaper. Okay, we value this in general, or the majority of so many, we canvass, such and such neighborhoods got 100, and we most of the community is saying this. And to say, okay, what do you think, rest of community? And how do we vote together to make XYZ happen? So I think that's really important what you're saying about, how to vote as a community for what the community needs and what we value.
It's the community need.
Mm-hmm.
We have individuals make up families right. Make up community, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to continue to, because we change and move and grow, right? But we continue to assess our own needs, our own values. Mm-hmm. And then we find community basically around our own needs and our own values. Now, here's the interesting piece about, we're people, but we are racialized people, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody is not the same just because they skin brown.
That's right.
Everybody not, we all got our own story, right? Mm-hmm. Arguably, and I know it can be frustrating for a lot of people. It has been frustrating to me because politics is sticky, tricky. You know what I mean? It's hard to trust people. Mm-hmm. But also, paying attention to what people are saying, paying attention to who's showing up in your community. In order to pay attention to who's showing up in your community is like, you got to be a part of your community. That's true. What I'm saying? So what I see a lot of, I see both things happening. I see a lot of organization happening, right? I work with the Juneteenth Festival. I work with Connect organization, other organizations. We work together. I work together with Open Buffalo. We're all collaborating on this event coming up. And it's all around how we can organize, because organizing is the key here. An organized community, right? Mm-hmm. Who can speak together, come together in an organized manner and hear each other out and decide together, so it's like we're creating smaller cells of government, basically, right? Mm-hmm. Within our own selves, so that our smaller cell of government can, come together and create the broader form of government. And now, we don't know, we have to know what our agenda is. What do we want?
Exactly. A lot of
what
conversations
do we want?
Right.
A lot of conversations have to happen. And I think that if our politicians are not addressing us, our interests, our values, our needs, then that's not the person we need to be voting for.
Right.
It could be tough because sometimes we're picking the lesser of two evils, so to speak, right? We might not like what nobody's talking about, but guess what we do then? We either run our own self, get your own agenda out there, or find somebody who will. And, it's a lot of organizations and groups of people who are out here really working hard to mentor and guide young people toward that type of leadership. Toward that type of leadership. And it's not easy. It's not easy. Our cultures are, we're culturally divided, and things of that nature. So, I'm just excited to be able to help to gather people together, help to get people thinking about what their vote means. Especially the local voting, right? A lot of people vote. If they vote for the presidential election.
Right. Do they vote for anything else? Why do you think it's important for Black people to vote this year locally?
Well, specifically, it's always important for us to vote. But right now, there's a lot happening all over the country around voter suppression. And, our ancestors died, to win the right to vote,
Yes.
And so just thinking about, we do the Sankofa, right? We look back at our past and we bring forth the wisdom of our ancestors, right? And so looking back at that, it's like there is a reason for us to vote. We have to. Voting is only part of it.
Right. It's not the end all. It's not going to answer all of our
needs. Because with saying that it's important to vote, what's even more important or equally important is that we have some knowledge as to how this thing even works.
Yes. Yeah,
because I think many of us, we don't know how it works. We don't know how the government works. We don't know who's who, what their position even entails. It's a lot to keep up with.
That is very.
It could be dry. It could be frustrating. It could be triggering. Keeping up with all these different politicians and what they talking about and what they voting on. But at some point, yeah.
No, I'm just saying. I found that. For a very long time, I know I wasn't interested in the political too much. Certain people, that was up for election or the president or, every now and again, if you know about particular people, you might say, okay, well, they sound interesting or I know them or, it seems like, you hear the talk and say, okay, well, let me look more into that. But overall, I was not interested, too much into politics because of, so much deception, and but realizing, like you said, that what our ancestors went through just for the power of the vote and to make their voice heard, as in choosing our representatives to represent our voice in these caucuses, in council chambers, in these,
judges, right.
Who do you want to represent you? To represent your voice, your thought, your
community, your children, right.
So I started changing that around. Like you said, it can be very overwhelming to figure out, who's is who. And that goes back to, like you said, like looking at your own values and then talking to others that have similar and start to, you start to build your own platform.
Absolutely.
Whether it's a side or whether it's a race or whether it's a class, our community requires this, and this. Who fits the bill?
This is what
you have.
Right.
Yeah, you got, different, different unions like, plumber, carpentry, and they'll say, listen, we need y'all to vote for this person. They support unions,
And so here's the interesting piece, right? We were talking about unions the other day.
And that was just for example.
Some organizations have the capital to be able to pay people to go to these lobbies to find out what's going on, to find out who's doing what, to get their agendas, discussed with people. They go to Albany, they, go to different events and meet up with these politicians. And most of our folks are not doing that. No. You got to have a little bit of money to do, at least, to do that, and also the desire. So the organizational piece is really important too, right? Yeah. So when you think about whose values and whose agenda gets forwarded, well, in this country is usually the people with the most money, right? Mm-hmm. Because they have the capital to employ people to push their agenda, right? Yeah. So what are we gonna do? The least we could do is vote and find out what's going on.
That's true. And I think that I agree with you as far as the organizations can pay people, right? But it doesn't cost anything to lobby. Right. It doesn't cost us, for you if Dayatra wanted to go and have a meeting with Schumer or whoever. You can.
But it does cost. It does cost because if I'm spending my time doing that,
yes.
Then I'm not spending my time getting my money for my groceries.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying? So there's always that issue of capital.
Yeah. And that's
if we're organized, we can work together and sort of leverage our assets and our resources together to do things like that. Yeah.
That's
because it is tough. It does make it tough for people without all that money to just, we driving up to Albany, we doing this, we running around. Right. That's time. That's time, energy, and resources that you're not putting into the things that you need. But there is some of us who have that disposable income, what they call disposable income. I don't like that term.
Well, I love cooperative, work, and I believe in it, and I know that works. Like when you organize, and that is, again, you hit everything.
Many hands make light work.
It does. Right? And when you
coming together.
That happen. I'll take you grocery shopping if you can spend an hour on Zoom with such and such council members. I'll help you with Instacart.
Right. And that's how we have to be able to cooperate with each other.
That's right.
On a lot of levels. But even to go and vote.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Child care comes to play. You caregiving, and as we know that a lot of caregivers are, Black and brown people, the majority. We don't have the time, like you said, to deal with more politics. So we do gotta help each other make time to vote, and we have to help each other, make time to make our voices heard, because it's a phone call away, it's a Zoom call away. And we can carpool, but we got to be organized, like Sister Dayatra said. Can you tell us more about the event that's coming up?
Oh, absolutely. So on this Friday, November the 4th, Open Buffalo, Juneteenth Festival, Buffalo Urban League, NAACP, National Action Network. Hope I'm not forgetting nobody. I think that was it. We're going to be at Open Buffalo, located at 1327 Jefferson Avenue. And we're having a conversation similar to this one. We want to bring in the community. We want people that's thinking about it, that maybe didn't vote in the last election or just turned 18, whatever the case, not really sure about how this civics thing even works. You know, we took civics. I mean, you know, if you didn't really study that too tough in college, whatever we learned from K through 12, I don't, you know what I mean?
That's true.
So
yeah.
we don't have a really strong education around it. I wonder why, right? When we think about when we don't know why something, here's one of my little things I like to throw in. You know, I like to notice, like, what is the government trying to keep us from doing? What are they hiding? What's missing off this table? Something real small I thought about was a map of Buffalo. You know, a lot of these young children, they catching a metro bus, they go to school, they get the bus pass and whatever. And a lot of them don't have a clue about just the landscape, just navigating the city. You know, or even the politics of the city. We, you know, and yeah, it's important to know federal also, but we don't know what's going on in our city. We don't know what these different positions entail. We don't know even how to, you know, get from South Buffalo to North Buffalo. You know what I'm saying? When we're young. So even just learning that, I think, is more practical. We don't get a lot of practical knowledge. You know what I mean? K through 12. Arguably, you know, up to your master's degree, right? You know, just really practical knowledge that really will help you in your everyday life. I think most people just want help in their everyday life. But what they need to know now is that reparations has been a conversation for a minute now. And there's a lot of conversation and energy around the repair that is owed to Black people, so-called Black people, Negroes, African Americans, colored folks, descendants of slaves, whatever they want to label us. But that's another point of contention. Why all the different names? That don't make no sense. It's confusing. And, you know, it just raises a red flag. You understand what I'm saying? So it just gives you more, you know, ammunition or more drive to want to know, like, what something's going on. Let me figure out what's going on. Because we already know that. We already know things are not fair. Things are not equitable. There's injustice everywhere we turn. Not even just for Black people, but for poor people, period.
Yes.
But especially for Black people. So we want to have this event, pull people together, sit down and really let's just talk over what are our needs. Let's think about that. You know, I do the program with the radical self-love because my background is mental health as well. And so just like we do radical self-love and we kind of go into ourselves for our own self-healing, right? We have to first assess the wound. What has happened to us? Where do our injuries lie, right? On a psychological or social emotional level, right? So now where do our injuries lie on a political level, on a social level, on an environmental level? Where are our injuries? What has happened to us and how do we fix it? We need repair. So I think that unless a politician is talking about something that's in alignment with that reparation, they ain't singing my tune. they not getting my vote. You understand what I'm saying? So, and I just want our people to be empowered. I want these 18, 19, 21-year-olds walking around to know, like, politicians work for us.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and we have to be empowered with that because we're so used to being downtrodden. And I know it sounds like woe is me, same old conversation. Because sometimes, as I say it, sometimes I catch myself and I be like, I hate to bring up this part, but it's true. We don't feel empowered. We don't feel empowered enough to say. Some of us do, but I'm talking about as a general group. And that's why people are taking advantage of us. That's why we spend our money as soon as we get it in our hand outside of our community. You know what I'm saying? We do a lot of things that we do our own self that cause harm in alignment with the broader society whose agenda is to keep us at the bottom.
Right.
And if we don't know that people's agenda out here in this country, agenda is to keep us at the bottom, then we need to go back to school.
But it goes back to just understanding capitalism. It needs a poor.
It needs that.
It needs
like yeast needs sugar. Yes.
So you need, because you need cogs in your wheel. You need, people to keep making it go. So you can't have too many people that are too educated in certain areas because you need them at another part of your
right.
machine.
Keep them disempowered. They'll keep feeding this money, and they will continue to not have nothing and have shorter lifespans and lower quality of life and all of these things. And
like you said, it's design. It's a design of the of those that have what we say that are landowners, resource owners. It's a difference with a person just being rich, but a person that owns resources and that can make or break a community, or a class of people, that makes a difference. And so when we vote, we have to think about what we want, what are the issues we're voting on, and how is that going to affect our community in the longer term. Are we looking to be in the same boat? Do we want to be capitalists too? Or are we trying to vote for something that is going to be more cooperative and something that we can lift one another up, and that each one gets to eat? Everyone gets to eat. Everyone gets, housing. Everyone gets, gets what they need. So, I think, we have to look at the larger picture. But at the same time, like you said, how can we look at the larger picture if I got to, figure out how I'm going to get groceries tomorrow?
Yeah, we hand them out. We like, hey, wait a minute. There's things that we can vote on. There's things that we can be involved in. So we got the vote, and then we also have, being involved in holding our politicians accountable. We have the local. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying, how can people do that? So you got the vote, but how can you keep the politicians more accountable?
Well, I think one way is sort of opening up. First of all, we have Black media. A lot of people might just watch TV. It's different now, right? Everybody got their choice of news stations and what they listen to. But the things that are on the actual like TV, cable and stuff like that, that's one thing. But you got to go a little above and beyond to find, to find the Black news, to find, the Black folks who are talking about the things that that's talking to you, not talking to, because we feel it in the classroom. We feel it when we watch TV, like, oh, they're not talking to me. They talking to each other. And I'm just here watching this, but it get on you too. Right. Their point of view. Mm-hmm. And it's really incredibly sad. But I think that paying attention to the Black media is one way, and also just getting involved with local organizations. There are several Black founded by Blacks, run by Black people and our interests. We have some allies that are not Black that also care about justice and equity for everybody. You know what I mean? So it's really about coming out of your comfort zone a little bit. I use that word loosely, comfort, but coming out of our everyday, even if it's just once a week or something where you stepping out, because everybody is not into community the same way. I watch people, people and I see people, they go to work, they want to have some fun. People want to work, they want to play, they want to save some money, they want to retire, and ain't nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. Only problem is it's like a war going on. It's like we on fire, and we don't want to notice it because it's painful.
It is.
Right?
It is.
but it's
Try to-
there. And if we don't deal with it, it's gonna be there for our children, it's gonna be there for their children, and on. Just like we still here.
And we can have fun while we work, while we working on.
We can have fun while we work. You know we do. While we advocating, while we right. We have to implement that care, that self-care, and prioritize those things. But there's a lot of work out here. There's a lot of opportunities to connect with people, like, for example, Open Buffalo. I don't want to speak for them because I don't have all their details, but shout out to Franchelle, Max, and everybody at Open Buffalo. You know, I went through the Emerging Leaders Program back in 2017, and it changed a lot for me. I did some other trainings around the same time that really shifted my focus. You know, I always had a heart that care about people, that want to help, right? But these organizations like Open Buffalo, like Movement Generation out of California and others, that kind of showed me a clearer pathway, what I could do practically,
right, that
can be impactful in my community. Now, I'm not a person that might want to run for office. I don't want to. And I know a lot of people probably don't.
Yeah.
It's just not alignment with my spiritual vibes. You know what I mean? So I know it's tough for people, but we will have an easier time when we come together. We don't have to be in perfect agreement. That's hard to do. So we don't want to shoot for that. We want to have unity without uniformity. We don't have to be uniform, but we can love the same without being the same. And just learn how to respect each other. And I think, you know, there's a lot to be said about that. But let's start with the vote. You know, they talking about affirmative action. I mean, don't think for a second that just because something ain't happening in New York State right now, and it's happening in Georgia or Alabama, that's not going to affect you. First of all, most of us got family there anyway, right? Yeah. But if it could happen in one state, it could happen in the next. Remember when it was only California that was legal? Now it's several states, right?
Yes, several states. Yes.
So this is how things change, and you got people suppressing education. You're not supposed to learn about what happened.
Right.
Like it'll blow your mind. It'll really blow your mind. And if you think that you can't do nothing about it, you're wrong.
Yeah.
One more voice can do something about it.
I love that. One more voice can do something. So remember, audience, come out to the Power of the Vote. It's a forum and community conversation this Friday, November 4th, from 5 to 7 p.m. Free and open to the public. Sponsored by Open Buffalo, Juneteenth Incorporated, and many others. National Action Network, and I'm not sure what the last one is, but
NAACP and Buffalo Urban League, and also WFO. And let me just say that WFO will be streaming live between 5 and 6 on Friday. So WFO will be playing the radio because it's so important. You know, some people feel shamed what they don't know. Everybody don't feel empowered, like, hey, I want to know something, I'm gonna ask a question. A lot of people, especially as you get older, like you feel like you're supposed to know, but you didn't go to class that day. You don't know. So you like, I don't know. Seems like everybody else know, but I don't know. You know, that kind of, and we start to feel shame. I get that. But we gotta come as a child. Like, ask your questions. How did this happen? I mean, we only gonna be there for 2 hours on Friday. But there's continuing conversation, continuing connection. You know, Juneteenth, we keep our community going. We always want to keep our community informed and educated around everything that affects us as a community. Everything that we could possibly help with, right? And voting is one of them. We got the election day coming up on November 8th. We got the early voting going on now.
Yes.
If people are not registered to vote, I don't know if it's too late to register to vote or not. But if you need a voting registration form, I will go to Open Buffalo and get one. They got them.
And we
for
have
sure.
one too. Western New
Y'all
York
got 'em
Peace Center
too.
has voting registrations. We always like to have them at our table events. You know, we always have them just out at any time, you know, out of season, you know, to have, you know, voter registration. And, you know, a lot of people don't know how, you know, to become, you know, eligible or how to apply, you know, to become a voter, but it's nothing, it's very simple.
DMV got voter registration forms. Social
Exactly.
services got voter registration forms.
Exactly.
So places that we go and got to deal with all the time, we can
We
get
can
our
get it.
voter registration forms. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think you could be
So-
younger now to sign up. You may not be able to vote, but you could sign up ahead of time, I think, right when you're 17. So
Yeah.
getting ready to vote, talking to our children about voting, making it something, we got control of that. We can make it something exciting, like something festive, like we about to go out here, you know. And we about to, you know, have a special dinner or something, you know, making it easier for each other.
Well, you know, I know one year, you know, we all went out, you know, as a family, as far as my husband, you know, my family, you know, went out together, you know, to vote, you know, together. And I'm a homeschooler, so I'm just like, okay, now this is what's about to happen. You know, this is why, you know, voting is important. And I want you to watch the process. I want you to, you know, to you know, as far as he could go, you know, of course, how, you know, it's private, but this is what we're looking at. This is the ballot. You know, you can even, you know, fill in somebody else for a ballot if you want to, because guess what? You can vote for who you want to, you know. And, you know, how do you know who to vote? Or, you know, I remember when I first voted, it was, you know, for a local, I didn't know so many people were up for election.
It seemed like a waste of time. You're looking at a bunch of
you go for
strangers.
one person or council, you know, oh, okay, I'm voting for city council. And it's like, oh, these judges are up and such. You like, I didn't look them up. I don't know. I don't know who these people are.
And then it's tough too, because you can look them up and still be like
who are, and that's the other thing too, is being maybe that's another public service for someone, organization to do, is to help people access general information. I know these what do you call it, anybody that's up for election or wants to run for election, they have their own page, but it would be nice to have a general page, you know, to have, you know, each person's platform, so it makes it a little bit easier for people to understand, you know, in a nutshell, who's who and what they're doing, what their platform is, and what they're running for, you know. So that's I can't promise the Peace Center will do that, but I think it is something that that needs to happen.
Absolutely.
But the Peace Center completely supports, and you know, this, you know, power the vote, and what Open Buffalo is doing, you know, all the time. And so we are really excited about, you know, this community forum, and you know, that's why you on, so we can get that word out.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely. It's really exciting to be able to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, it sounds, something happened with the sound.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was just going to say that it's really exciting to even find out, because here's one of the things that kind of, the way that the voting thing is now, and like finding out, we don't want to get all our information from one place. Don't get all your information from whatever news channel you watch. We have to cross, right? When we learn about research, how to research, you know, we want to look in different areas for the story. We don't want to just look in one place for the story, because we're through the whole process, we got to discern, we got to pray. You know what I mean? We got to,
That's
Okay,
right.
you got to bring the ancestors in on
So you
this.
got to pause and like, okay, like let me consider, let me research, let me ask questions.
Right, like
The
you said,
pause.
with the pause. Yes, value that pause, because we got to think for a minute. And a lot of times, especially when it's the local vote, we have access to these people. We could go knock on their office door and just
That's
be
true.
like, I want an appointment with this person. I want to know what's going on. Just as a regular citizen, you don't have to have no special badge to be able to talk to these politicians.
And you know what? You can also call these politicians and ask them about certain, like, let's say, there's a bill, that you're interested in. You can ask them, what is it for? What are their, what are they standing on as far as, are they for or against it? How would it affect, their immediate community, their district, or what have you? And you can tell them what you think about it. And that's a phone call. And I know we gotta make time, but that is a phone call. And they will even explain to you how a bill becomes a law.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many times, do you need to call, or how many other people, need to call about it, saying like, no, we don't want that to become a law. What else, how many more we want you to say no at the next, kind of thing.
Because that's how it's done, right? With the lobbying and getting the information out and who you want and what you want, it's all about numbers,
Yeah, it really makes a difference. And you get enough people calling, you get enough retired people, like those who got maybe some time, maybe some are retired, You
gotta be strategic, right? Exactly.
Like, I'm going to the grocery store, but can you make that phone call?
Exactly.
And maybe the ones that's on it too, So I was looking at some statistics. I don't know if I can pull them back up, but I was looking at some statistics about our voting in Buffalo from elections.erie.gov. It's very public, and the main people that vote, 40.4%, are between the ages of 30 and 55. Those are the majority of those who vote in Erie County are between 30 and 55. So the question is, how can we get that number up? What is this age group, which is, our age group, what are we thinking? What are we doing? And how can we increase that number?
Right. With the younger people and the older people. Wow.
Yes. So 65 plus, 26.8%. I think even for that to increase, we might have to encourage them to do alternative, ballots, mail in your ballot, do other things that they can get, to the ballot. And
now, is that number for the whole city, or is that a certain demographic?
Erie County.
That's for the county?
For the whole county. Yeah, wow. I just thought it was really interesting. Like, oh, okay. Again, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Right. Our 18 to 20-year-olds, it is the smallest. It is the least, amount. And we have.
We're not empowering them.
People is 18.
It's hard again, because the last thing I ain't gonna say never, but I seldom have heard a young person say, I can't wait to turn 18 so I can vote. Right?
I've never heard.
They might not could wait till they're 21 so they could do some other things, but not vote. When I turned 18, I was excited to vote, but I turned 18 right after 21 got in effect. I was looking forward to 18 for a while, but I said, okay, forget it. But no, because we don't, there's so much disparities, and so that's why it's so important right now, because I can understand with the struggles that's happening with our school system, with our students, with our families. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot to grapple with. But I know even people that's in the deepest of struggle, I know that if you knocked on that door and said, hey, make sure you go out to vote, that just reminding people, just giving them that little spark that your voice does matter and it does count. You know what I mean? Because I think people just be caught up in their own life. People just be caught up in their own life. And there's plenty of life happening. You know, but in order for us to get the things we need, we got to vote.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't important, these folks would not be trying to stop us.
That's right. Yeah, it's been one thing after the other, and it's been over, I would say, probably since Reconstruction. There's always been an issue.
It's always been a struggle. Hey, don't get me started about the women's vote and all of that, because they let the men vote first. And it's like, you know, white male landowner, they like to keep that right there. You know what I mean? But no, we hear and we count.
And speaking of gender, so statistics say that 53.1% females have been voting, compared to 46.8% males. And so right on. Keep up the great work. And let's increase those numbers on both sides. It got to be 100%. You know, we gotta move those numbers and make our voices heard on the issues that we really care about. And I think thank you for bringing that, back to us, because, sometimes, or for a long time, people have felt that they're not cared about, their voice is not cared for, and it doesn't matter. But then we complain about what the government is doing to us. Like we have, what they did to me. What they did. Did you vote last year? No, not really. Did you, lots of, no, I haven't said anything, but complain to one another. So let's complain to the right people. And the
right people take it to the door of where it belongs. Right, appropriate accountability. Yeah, that's right. Some things that we could do ourselves, we do that ourselves. Some things that's somebody else's job to do, we hold them accountable to do it. And we can do that. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yeah, so we're going to end on that note. That was, just awesome. Remember, the Power of the Vote is this Friday from 5 to 7 p.m. and at 1327 Jefferson Avenue. And come out and make your voice heard, and also ask any questions that you need to about, voting. And don't be afraid, don't be ashamed. But this is a family event where you can come and get answers. And also remember that Leah Penniman is coming to our annual dinner, keynote speaker, 55th annual dinner, Western New York Peace Center, November 11th. So make sure you come out and listen to her about the power of land sovereignty, and just again, when we have the vote and we make our voices heard, we can speak about how we want our land to be developed, how we want food to be distributed, how we want we want our needs to be met. So come on out, and Leah will be talking about all these different things about just being empowered as a people. So for more information, go to WNYPeace.org. And for more information for the Power of the Vote, go to BuffaloJuneteenth.com. So until next time, you have been listening to Talking Peace with the Western New York Peace Center, and we have been talking peace and in love. Thank you so much, Dayatra, for being with me.
Ashe, thank you for having me.
Ashe. That's great. So we are, basically ending. We are still on social media. And when Richard comes back, he'll close us out. So just to let you know, we haven't been off just yet. But thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. It was a
I
great
appreciate
talk.
you. Yes. We need more. And we want to do more civics classes. We need some understanding on things.
Yeah, I mean, really, and I know one time, I'm not going to mention their names, but I called one like our district council person and asked if and they had their assistant, what have you, and their office can come out and do those types of classes. Just talk, like do a workshop. This is how a bill becomes a law. This is how you lobby. This is how they can come out and do those kinds of things as a public service. Which again, I didn't know until I asked. With certain bills, I was concerned.
That's how it goes. You got to ask. You got to, yeah.
And with certain bills, I was concerned about whether for New York State or for national. Well, guess what? I can still talk to my district council person about that. I can still talk to my district council person about what I want, to see happen, what I want, how I want him to vote, when it comes to his time, to make his voice, heard, on certain issues or bills or what have you. So I think we have a lot more power than what we think,
We do. We matter. Our stories matter. Our energy matters. You don't know how you might influence somebody else. Just because they're a politician don't mean that they beyond your influence.
That's
we
right.
all human,
That's right. So yeah, they're all human. That is so so important. They may seem like superstars or something like that.
Right, but they just people, they work for us.
I was like that for a minute. I was like, before I, started getting more into lobbying, like with Peace Action, and, it was, I was nervous, and I'm just like, I don't know
it
too much
seems
about
complicated, time consuming. I get it. But I think we have to change our approach. It's just like how people tell you bad at math, so you think you bad at math.
Yep.
You got to just change your approach.
That's right.
Reframe it for yourself. If you're telling yourself it's complicated, then it's going to be complicated.
Right.
Right. But if we telling ourselves like, I got to do this for me, my children, my children's children, going forward, like that's what they call it, a civic duty.
Civic duty. Yeah, I got to teach
civic duty. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
it's like taking out your garbage. That's your duty. You got to take your garbage out. You got to, we keep our neighborhood,
yes.
It's part of our duty to involve ourselves with this process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, they're supposed to teach that in high school, and, and it's required, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think the only way it really hits home, especially for young people, is when they see themselves affected by the law. So after everything with George Floyd and the last few years, when they kind of see more of the connection of police brutality, young black man, on camera, this is just an example of what it's been going on. But seeing themselves in that position. If you ask any young person within that year or so, well, what do you care about? What do you want to fight against? It was a police brutality. They didn't know probably much about their history. They didn't probably know anything about any other politics. But they knew about police brutality.
Well, you're going to deal with the immediate injury. Right? You're going to deal with what just happened. You're going to deal with what hurts. And we
Mhm.
seeing it over and over. And that's another trauma that, we experience that vicarious trauma
Mhm.
through watching it over and over and over in
Yeah.
different situations over and over. I know I've had my fill of these things going on. And it just keeps happening,
Mhm.
you know,
Right.
and
So, for
it can
people
feel
to,
hopeless.
yeah, it can feel hopeless, so that's where, and once you see yourself there
Mm-hmm.
and say, that could be me if I don't start to speak
And when it's
up.
you ain't got no choice but to fight. Fight
But to
or
fight,
die.
right, right,
And that's really where we are anyway. Fight or
right,
die. We're going to die anyway. So what are we going to do while we alive?
right. Might as well fight.
Might as well fight.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Well,
Might
thank
as
you
well
so
fight.
much, for being on. I know you have a late night.
I
And
do. I thank you too.
no problem. I'm gonna wait for get our next people on. And
So I'm gonna go ahead and leave.
yep, that's fine. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Thank you too, babe. Talk to you soon.
All right. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Okay, so that's over.